Okay. So in the last session, we completed uh, with the concept of plant growth and development, right? So today we are going to deal with another important concept of our, what we can say, by PU1 biology. So that is nothing but neural control and coordination. So from this chapter, we will get around 4 to 5 marks. 4 to 5 marks, I mean 5 questions we will get from this chapter, neutral control coordination. So this is nothing but we are going to study our nervous system here. We are going to study our nervous system as well as we are going to study our endocrine glands. So no doubt we have a knowledge about what we can say nervous system as well as endocrine glands from 10th standard. But in PU1 we are going in deep, right? So before that, please let me know whether this chapter has been completed at your college. Whether this theory part has been covered at your college, please let me know in the chat box. Okay. Okay, fine, no problem. So let me brush up the some concepts of this lesson, then we shall move to the questions. Okay, fine. Yeah. So when we talk about neural control and coordination, so here you can see, my dear students, the types of body coordination we have. So here we have nervous coordination, which is controlled by the nervous system. Hormonal coordination, as the name says, which is controlled by the endocrine system, which will release the substances which are called hormones, right? So here, nervous coordination examples when you see walking, reading, looking, senses, involuntary as well as voluntary actions. So these all will come under nervous coordination, what we say. Then hormonal coordination, growth level of glucose, controlling blood concentration. So these all will come under the hormonal functions, what we can say. Now let us proceed. When we say a neural system or a nervous system, it is a system which got a network throughout the body. Why it should have a network throughout the body? Because it has to conduct, what we can say is, it has to um, send and receive the signals. It has to convert or transfer the information via electrical impulses. So that is why it should be it should have a network like structure, what we can say. So in this we will come across the 3 or 5 terminologies: stimulus, response, receptors, impulse and effectors anta. Stimulus andre eno? The factor chemical, whether it is a physical or a chemical factor or a change in an external or an internal environment. So ಯಾವ ಒಂದು change ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ reaction ಅನ್ನ ತರಿಸುತ್ತೆ, ಆ ಒಂದು change ಗೆ we will call it as stimulus ಅಂತ. Response ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? What we respond to that factor, either it is a physical or a chemical, ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ನಾವು ರೆಸ್ಪಾಂಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ, so it is called as a response. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ರಿಸೆಪ್ಟಾರ್ಸ್, ಇಂಪಲ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟಾರ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Receptors andre, these are cells, tissues or what we can say organs in our body which are capable of receiving particular stimuli. For example, most of the stimulus we will receive from our sense organs, right? So most of the stimulus we will receive from our sense organs. Which are the sense organs? Eyes, nose, ears, skin, tongue. So these all are our receptors. Okay, from this receptors, what that information will be carried out or picked out by a specialized type of nerves which are called sensory nerves. ನೆನಪಲ್ಲಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, sensory nerves ಕೆಲಸ ಏನು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸ್ಟಿಮ್ಯುಲಸ್ ಗೆ ರೆಸ್ಪಾಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಆ ಸ್ಟಿಮ್ಯುಲಸ್ ಇಂಪಲ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಕ್ಯಾರಿ ಮಾಡೋದು ಸೆನ್ಸರಿ ನರ್ವ್ಸ್. ಇಂಪಲ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಪ್ರೊಪಗೇಟೆಡ್ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಿಕಲ್ ಕರೆಂಟ್ that runs along surface of the nerve fiber. ಸೊ ಈಗ ಸ್ಟಿಮ್ಯುಲಸ್ ಇಂದ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಈಗ ಕಣ್ಣಿದೆ, ಸೊ ಕಣ್ ಮುಂದೆ ಈಗ ಕಾರಂಜಿ ಇದೆ, ಹೌದಾ, ಕಾರಂಜಿಯನ್ನ ನೋಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಬ್ಯೂಟಿಫುಲ್ ಫೌಂಟೇನ್ ಇಸ್ ಬೀಯಿಂಗ್ ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಲೇಡ್ ಆರ್ ಇಸ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಸೀಯಿಂಗ್ ದ ಬ್ಯೂಟಿಫುಲ್ ಫೌಂಟೇನ್ ಹಿಯರ್. Okay, so that is that the thing is captured from the eyes, and from the eyes it is transported through the brain to the brain through the sensory nerves via impulse. What is that impulse? It is nothing but a electrical current. Okay, it is nothing but electrical current, what we say. So that electrical current is runs along through the nerve fiber. Next we have effectors. Effectors are nothing but our muscles, glands, tissues or cells which act in response to the stimulus. So when you see the fountain, what you feel? You will say, wow, you feel happy, you feel it's so beautiful. Okay, you are enjoying that moment. Suppose if you see the snake, what will be your effect, what will be your response? So you will move from your place, or you will just scream. Okay, so like that, this muscles, glands, tissues or cells which shows the response to the stimulus received from the system is called as effectors, what we can say. So here we have a beautiful example which is important in CET as well as NEET. In Hydra as well as other cnidarians, what we can say coelenterates. Okay, so like sea anemone and jellyfish, nervous system consists of nerve cells. Nervous system consists of what? Several nerve cells linked with each other. So here we don't have any well-defined nervous system. Only few nerve cells will be there which are linked to each other to form a nerve nets in the body layer, that is epidermis and gastrodermis. When we come to the insects, so there the neural system is better. Okay, where brain is present in the insects, but in this lower forms you will not see the brain, right? Then number of ganglia and neural tissue. In insects, nervous system consists of bilobed nerve mass. The brain will be bilobed. Okay, then the vertebrates have a more developed neural system. Fine. Next. So the cells of a nervous system is called as neuron, what we can see. Okay, so you all are aware about it. So when we see the structure of a neuron, we will be having the cell body or a cyton. It is broad rounded pyriform stellate plate of a neuron which contains nucleus, abundant cytoplasm, cell organelle except centrioles. Okay, so because of absence of centrioles will be absent in the neurons, so the neuron cells will not divide. Okay, so as you can see, so this is a cyton, this phase is this is a cyton. Okay, so you can see the cytoplasm, nucleus, dendrites, exons we can see, myelin sheath you can see, right? So these are again the dendrites. Okay, next we have is based on the lobes of the cyton. Okay, so we have dendrites also, the nerve endings or the branches, what we can see. Small cell process fine branches called dendrites. Some receptors are found on dendrites. So receptor cells are found on dendrites which will receive the stimuli and produce a impulse, what we can say. Then axon, it is the longest process of cyton. So when you see the neuron, if this is a neuron, and here this is a longest part which is called axon, which will be having the myelin sheath. Axon is covered by a exolemma. Part of cyton where axon arises is called axon hillock. So from the cyton, the axon hillock arises. So that point is called as axon hillock. The terminal end of axon is branched, which are called as telodendria. The branches of axon are called telodendria. More mitochondria are found in telodendria which synthesize acetylcholine with the help of choline acetyl transferase enzyme. It is stored in synaptic vesicles. It is a functional part of a nerve cell. It is covered by a layer of phospholipid which is called medulla, or we can call it as myelin sheath. Types of neurons we have unipolar, as you can see only one cyton. Okay, bipolar, as you can see the cyton is here, some not in the middle exactly, and here 1 and 2 directions. Multipolar, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are called multipolar. Apolar means cell processes are either absent or if present are not differentiated in axons and dendrites. Only cyton is present, you cannot see any branches over there. Pseudo-unipolar. So here cell has only one axon but a small process develops from the axon. See here. This is a pseudo-unipolar. So it is based on the number of branches or number of endings what we have. Okay. So depending on the functions, we have three types of neuron: sensory, motor, or relay neuron. Sensory neuron means what? Receives the stimuli from the sense organs or the receptors. Motor neuron means what? The dendrites of these neurites synapse with axons of sensory neurons in the central nervous system. These will send impulses to the effectors, what we can see. Connector neuron means what? Serve as link between sensory and motor neuron for a distant relay of nerve impulses. These are also found in central nervous system. So this is regarding a brief introduction of neural control and coordination. Now we will solve some questions and again I will explain the concepts. Okay. Now the first question of today is, in a man, abducens nerve is injured. Which one of the following functions will be affected? So I will explain you what is abducens nerve after this question. So while discussing the answer, abducens. So which one of the following function will be affected? Movement of the eyeball, movement of the tongue, swallowing, movement of the neck. So you can refer your textbook, you can refer your reference book, reference book to find the answer. If you don't know, you just say you don't know the answer and let us discuss the answer. So in a man, abducens nerve is injured. Which one of the following functions will be affected? Okay, Hema answered it. So here, exactly, abducens is the sixth cranial nerve. Cranial nerve. So we have cranial nerves and spinal nerves. Okay. So in cranial nerve, abducens is one of the cranial nerve. Cranial nerve means what? Which arises from the brain. Which innervates an external rectus muscle of the eyeball. It is responsible for the turning our eye outwards. Movement of the tongue is controlled by, please write it down. Movement of a tongue is controlled by hypoglossal nerve. Abducens is related to the eye. Tongue, in the tongue you can see the nerve called as hypoglossal nerve. Neck movement is controlled by a facial nerve. Swallowing is controlled by a glossopharyngeal nerves. Glossopharyngeal nerves. So these all are the types of cranial nerves what we can say. Fine. So option A is a right answer. Next question. Which cranial nerve has the highest number of branches? So we have two types of nerves, cranial nerves as well as spinal nerves. Spinal. Cranial means which arises from the brain. Spinal, as the name suggests, which arises from the spinal cord. Okay. So here, which cranial nerve has the highest number of branches? They asked. Vagus nerve, trigeminal nerve, facial nerve, none of these. Yes, dear students, what you want to answer this question? How you want to answer this? Yeah. Okay. So here what happens is option B, trigeminal nerve is has the highest number of branches in the cranial nerve. So it is the largest fifth cranial nerve. It has 3 branches. The names of branches are ophthalmic, maxillary and mandibular. Nenpalitkoli, it is called trigeminal nerve, fifth cranial nerve, largest nerve, and it has 3 branches. Next one is The vagus nerve. So let me explain you regarding the spinal and cranial nerves as we got more questions on them. Hmm. Yeah. So here you can see the flow chart, a beautiful flow chart. If you want, you can take the screenshot of it. Okay. So here, uh, yes. Human nervous system is divided into central nervous system, peripheral nervous system. Okay, central nervous system where the information will be processed and controlled, whereas peripheral nervous system comprises all the nerves of the body which are associated with the CNS, that is central nervous system. Central nervous system ಅಲ್ಲಿ brain ಮತ್ತೆ spinal cord ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Peripheral nervous system is divided into three types: voluntary nervous system, involuntary nervous system or autonomic nervous system, visceral nervous system. Voluntary ಅಂದ್ರೆ which are under our control or somatic nervous system. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ two types of nerves ಬರುತ್ತೆ, cranial and spinal nerves. Involuntary autonomous nervous system ಅಲ್ಲಿ we will get two types of nervous system again: sympathetic nervous system, parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, this is a flow chart of it. Next we have is, just a minute. Yeah. So when we think about the brain, so our brain is made up of 8 bones, and in the adult man it is 1400 gram, and in the female it is 1250 gram. Okay, so approximately 70 to 80% of the brain will be developed in 2 years of the age, right? Spinal cord develops completely in 4 to 5 years of age. Just remember it. Yeah, this is a diagram of a brain. Brain is covered by 3 membranous connective tissues which are called meninges. Okay, now we shall proceed with the questions. Let me see whether we have. Yeah. So here you have this note C. You can observe here in this box. Longest cranial nerve is a vagus nerve, which is longest. Largest cranial nerve is a trigeminal nerve. Smallest cranial nerve is a abducens nerve. Okay. So in human, 1, 2, 8 are cranial nerves out of 12 pair of total. Cranial nerves are sensory in nature. So totally we have 12 pair of cranial nerves which are found in reptiles, birds and mammals, but amphibians have only 10 pair of cranial nerves. Out of 12 pair, first pair, second pair and eighth pair of cranial nerves are sensory in nature, and the other remaining third, fourth, sixth, ninth and 12th, okay, cranial nerves are motor nerves, and fifth, seventh, ninth and 10th are mixed type of nerves. Then fibers of autonomous nervous system are found in. We have again autonomous nervous system, right? So in the peripheral nervous system, autonomous nervous system is there. So those fibers, okay, those fibers are found in these cranial nerves. Fine. And when we come to the spinal nerves, in a rabbit there are 37 pairs of spinal nerves. In frog there are 9 or 10 pair. In human we have only 31 pair of spinal nerves. So our spinal nerves are divided into 5 groups. Human spinal nerves are divided into 5 groups. So here you can see cervical, that is in the neck region, thoracic in the thoracic region, okay, lumbar, thoracic means this, then down to the neck, then lumbar, that is upper part of the abdomen, sacral, lower part of the abdomen, coccygeal represent the tail nerves. Okay, so totally we have 31 pairs of nerves. 31 pairs of spinal nerves we have. Now let us proceed with the questions. The vagus nerve is the cranial nerve numbering 7th, 5th, 10th and 9th. Means what is the number of the cranial nerve? So just now we discussed what we can say. Sorry. Yeah. The largest nerve, the longest nerve, the shortest or the shortest nerve. So among that, what is the number of vagus nerve among 12 pair of cranial nerves? Anyone? Okay, Hema answered it as option, sorry, 10. Okay. So let us check the answer. Vagus nerve is the 10th cranial nerve. Very good. It arises from medulla oblongata. It innervates, means it inserted larynx, trachea, esophagus, stomach, lungs, heart, and intestine. It is a mixed nerve. It is not sensory or a motor nerve. What it controls is, it controls the heartbeat, respiratory movements, peristalsis, sound production. Everything will be controlled by a nerve which is called vagus nerve, the longest nerve, and it is a 10th cranial nerve. Next, by which nervous system and of what type the blood is supplied into visceral organs? See, we have various nervous systems. So we had central nervous system, we had peripheral nervous system. Peripheral nervous system was again been classified. So among this nervous system, which system is supplies the blood to the important? Visceral means what? Internal important organs. Both SNS and sympathetic nervous system, and what we can say peripheral nervous system, parasympathetic nervous system. Then parasympathetic nervous system involuntary, sympathetic nervous system involuntary, sympathetic nervous system voluntary. So by which nervous system, what type the blood is supplied into visceral organs? Okay, option A. Let us check the answer here. Exactly. So the blood is supplied into visceral organs by both, that is SNS and PNS, sympathetic nervous system, parasympathetic nervous system, involuntarily. So the sympathetic fibers increases the rate and force of heartbeat. Constrict means it make the blood vessels very constrict and raise the arterial blood pressure. What this parasympathetic fibers will do? They decrease the rate and force of the heartbeat, and they dilate many blood vessels and lower the arterial blood pressure. By this, they will, I'm sorry, they will carry out the blood circulation. Fine. Then, one function of parasympathetic nervous system is, so the several functions are given. Among this, which is the function of parasympathetic nervous system, we should say, right? Contraction of hair muscles, stimulation of sweat glands, acceleration of heartbeat, constriction of pupil. Yes. Answer it fast so that we can cover most of the questions from this important chapter. Okay. So The right answer is here option D, constriction of pupil. The action of parasympathetic nervous system is opposite to that of sympathetic. If sympathetic nervous system accelerate an action, it supports the action. Parasympathetic nervous system slows down that action. So the parasympathetic fiber constrict the pupil, decrease the rate and force of heartbeat, dilate many blood vessels, and lower the arterial blood pressure, quicken the peristaltic movements, and contract the urinary bladder. So these all are the functions of parasympathetic fibers. Whereas when we come to the sympathetic fibers or sympathetic nervous system, they dilate the pupil, they increase the rate and force of the heartbeat, they constrict the blood vessels, they increase the arterial blood pressure, they slow down the peristaltic movements, they dilate the urinary bladder, exactly opposite to the parasympathetic nervous system. So like this, you can remember the function of both nervous system. Next, which of the following cranial nerves can regulate heartbeat? See, we have 12 pairs of cranial nerves, right? So among this, we have seen the longest one, the largest one, as well as the shortest one. So you will be knowing which nerve will be conducting the heartbeat. Just now we discussed regarding that nerve. So that, what is the number of that nerve? You already said the answer, but it was in a number. Here they have given Roman letter. That's it. Which of the following cranial nerves can regulate the heartbeat? Yes. See, just now we discussed regarding vagus nerve, right? So which controls the heartbeat, which controls the respiratory movements, peristaltic movement. Okay, it is the longest nerve what we call. So what is the number of the vagus nerve? The number of the vagus nerve is 10. Okay, so that is why option A is the right answer. Next question, Nissel's bodies are mainly composed of. Nissel's bodies are mainly composed of proteins and lipids, DNA and RNA, nucleic acid and smooth endoplasmic reticulum, free ribosomes and rough endoplasmic reticulum. SCR means what? Smooth endoplasmic reticulum, smooth ER. Okay, RER means rough ER. Okay, so Nissel's bodies are mainly composed of. Can anyone say the answer? Yeah. Nissel's bodies are mainly composed of. So the right answer for this question is option number D, free ribosomes and RER. That is rough endoplasmic reticulum. So what is Nissel's body, or which is called Nissel's clanure? It is the irregular mass of endoplasmic reticulum, especially RER, with numerous as well as free ribosomes and polysomes. So it is found in the I'm sorry, cytone of a neuron, Nissel's granules or Nissel's bodies. These probably synthesize proteins for the nerve cell. What is the function of it? To synthesize or to form proteins for the nerve cell. Okay, so that is the function of Nissel's body. Next, receptor sites for neurotransmitters are present on. So there are certain neurotransmitters which transmits the signal. Okay, so receptor sites for neurotransmitters are present on presynaptic membrane, tips of axon, postsynaptic membrane, membranes of synaptic vesicles. Yes, can anyone name this? Okay, option C. Fine. Let us check the answer here. So the right answer is good. That is option C. So what do you mean by neurotransmitter? It is a chemical substance which is used for transmission of the nerve impulse, right? It is released by a synaptic vesicle. What is synapse? The meeting or the fusion. So the point where two neurons met, that point is called as what? Synapse, right? So neurotransmitter binds with the protein receptor molecule present on postsynaptic membrane, causing its depolarization and generation of action potential. So option C is the right answer. Next, when a neuron is in resting state, means it is not conducting any impulse, the axonal membrane is, axonal membrane ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ when it is not conducting any impulse, comparatively more permeable to sodium ions and nearly impermeable to potassium ions, equally permeable to both sodium as well as potassium ions, impermeable to both sodium and potassium ions, comparatively more permeable to potassium ions and nearly impermeable to sodium ions. So what happens to the neuron in the resting state? Can anyone tell me? When it is not conducting anything, how its axonal membrane works? Yes, come on, you can answer this. Yes. Okay. So, okay. The answer for this question is option number D. So when a neuron is not conducting any impulse, what we can say, the axonal membrane is comparatively more permeable to potassium ions and nearly impermeable to sodium ions. So here we can see this in generation of, let me check whether it is there in this notes. Chemical synapse, synaptic transmission, auditory conduction of nerve impulse, sodium voltage. Yeah. So here you can see a repolarization and yeah. So here you can see a sodium potassium pump carrier proton. Neurons are excitable cells, means they can excite because their membranes are in polarized state. So different types of ion channels will be present in the neural membrane. So these ion channels are selectively permeable to different ions based on the work or the functions of the neuron, right? So here the potential exists across the membrane, right? So the potential exists across the cell surface membrane of nerve cell. It is negative inside the cell with respect to outside. So when it is negative, then the membrane is called as polarized. So what is the potential difference? That is called resting membrane potential. It is minus 70 million MV, millivolt. Okay, fine. Now let us proceed with the question. Yeah. Which one of the following does not act as a neurotransmitter? Which one of the following does not act as a neurotransmitter? Cortisone, acetylcholine, epinephrine, norepinephrine. Okay. Which one of the following does not act as a neurotransmitter? So here, option number A, that is cortisone does not act as a neurotransmitter. Let us check. So what are neurotransmitter? We know that these are the chemicals which are used to relay, which are used to transmit the signal, amplify, that is double the signal and modulate the electrical signals between the neuron and another cell, that is effector. Substances that act as neurotransmitter can be categorized into three major groups. Amino acids may act as neurotransmitters. Then what we can say, peptides can act as neurotransmitters. Monoamines can act as neurotransmitter. When we consider amino acid, usually glutamic acid, GABA, aspartic acid, and glycine can act as a neurotransmitter. When we come to the peptides, vasopressin, somatostatin, neurotensin can act as a neurotransmitter. Monoamines, norepinephrine, dopamine, and serotonin. So plus acetylcholine. So these all act as a neurotransmitter. When we come to the cortisone, so it is a glycocorticoid steroid hormone. It is a steroid hormone which is released by adrenal gland, and it has a anti-inflammatory and immune system suppressing property. Okay, it is not at all related with the neural conduction. Fine. So cortisone has a anti-inflammatory and immune system suppressing property. Next, what used to be described as Nissel's granules in a nerve cell are now identified as. Okay, understand the question properly. What used to be described as Nissel's granules in a nerve cell? So in a nerve cell, we identified or we know Nissel's granules. Now this Nissel's granules is identified as, now it has been changed. Now it is identified as what? Cell metabolites, fat granules, ribosomes, mitochondria. So we got to know about the Nissel's granules, right? So it is nothing but what we can say, the ref endoplasmic reticulum along with some just rough endoplasmic reticulum along with free ribosomes as well as polysomes forms the Nissel's granules, right? Okay. So the right answer is here option number C, ribosomes. Cell body of a nerve cell contains basophilic granules, what we call Nissel's granules. These granules appear to be cisternae. So when you see the structure of the endoplasmic reticulum, so you will be having the cisternae, right? Sac-like structure. So these granules appear to be cisternae of RER with numerous attached free ribosomes. So they probably synthesize protein for the cell. So option C, ribosome is a right answer. Next, the junction between the axon of one neuron and the dendrite of the next is called as. What is that junction? What is that fusing point is termed as? A constant bridge, a junction point, a joint, a synapse. Yes, be fast. Yeah. So here it is called as synapse. Fine, synapse. Next, which of the following is regarded as a unit of nervous tissue? Very easy question. A. Neurons. B. Myelin sheath. C. Axons. D. Dendrites. Which of the following is regarded as a unit of nervous tissue? Very easy question. Please do answer it. So the structural and functional unit of living organism is called as cell. Same, the structural and functional unit of nervous system. What is that cell is called as? What is the name of the cell of nervous system? Very good. So option A, neuron. Option A, neuron is the right answer. Next question. Which part of a brain is responsible for thermoregulation? What do you mean by thermoregulation? Regulation of temperature. Fine, regulation of temperature. So option A, medulla oblongata, option B, cerebrum, option C, hypothalamus, option D, corpus luteum. So in these four options, which part will regulate the temperature? So when we just brush up the parts of the brain here. So here we have meninges, it is the nothing but the covering of the brain. Then we have cerebrospinal fluid. Okay, it is a clear fluid, alkaline or basic in nature. It will be having protein, glucose, cholesterol, sodium, potassium, etc. In a healthy man, 500 of CSF will be formed and absorbed. Yeah, functions, it acts as forebrain. When we come to the forebrain, we have cerebrum, thalamus and hypothalamus. So cerebrum, it is the first part of the brain. And what is the function of cerebrum here? So here you can see these cerebrum, just a minute. I think here we have this. So when we come to the thalamus, thalamus acts as a relay center. When we come to the cerebrum, it is the main part which controls the involuntary action. Then hypothalamus, when we come, see, it has a control of hunger, thirst, fatigue, sleep, sweating, body temperature, and emotions. Hypothalamus. Okay. Then when we come to the midbrain, it is located between hypothalamus of the forebrain and pons of hindbrain. Right. Then hindbrain consists of pons, or we can say pons of Varolii, cerebellum, and medulla oblongata. Cerebellum coordinates with muscular activity. It maintains equilibrium or balance or the posture of the body. Then medulla oblongata, cardiac center, that is heartbeat, regulation of blood pressure, respiratory center or respiration, breathing rate will be maintained. Right. So this is regarding what we can say the functions of the parts of the brain. So here they asked which part of the brain is responsible for thermoregulation, temperature regulation. So let me give you the hint. It is a part of a forebrain. Can anyone tell me now? So forebrain has how many parts here? Forebrain has three parts here, right? So one is cerebrum, another is thalamus, the next one is hypothalamus. So out of these three, which will control the temperature? Option C. Okay, let us check. Exactly, option C is a right answer, hypothalamus. Next, which of the following regions of the brain is incorrectly paired with its function? So they asked what? Incorrectly paired. Corpus callosum, communication between left and right cerebral cortices. Cerebrum, calculation and contemplation. Medulla oblongata, homeostatic control. D. Cerebellum, language comprehension. So, which of the following regions of the brain is incorrectly paired with its function? Which is wrong, they are asking. Yes? Yes, try to answer the question. Fine. So, here the answer is option D. Cerebellum, language comprehension. So we recently, just now we checked, cerebellum is nothing but maintaining the posture, right? Yeah, balancing and all. So here language comprehension is a function of cerebrum, not a cerebellum. Cerebrum is what? Cerebrum is a part of a forebrain. Whereas cerebellum means what? Cerebellum is a part of a hindbrain. Cerebellum coordinates and controls rapid muscular activity, although it does not initiate such voluntary movement, but it is important center for coordinating the movement and maintaining the posture. So cerebellum's function is almost exclusively motor, but language comprehension is not motor. So option D, that is cerebellum language comprehension, is a right answer. Next, injury localized to the hypothalamus. So a person is there, he got injured in his hypothalamus region, would most likely to disrupt what? It will disturb what? Short-term memory, coordination during locomotion, executive functions such as decision making, regulation of body temperature. So when a person is injured, his hypothalamus is injured, what may happen to the person? Which factor will be disturbed in him? So recently we solved a question which is on the thermostat, okay, which will maintain the body temperature. So just to recall that question. Okay. So the right answer for this question is option number D, regulation of temperature. Regulation of temperature. Then the human hindbrain comprises three parts. Hindbrain has three parts. One of which is spinal cord, corpus callosum, cerebellum, hypothalamus. Yes, try to answer the question. Be fast. The human hindbrain comprises three parts. So here, brain is the anterior most part. It is divided into forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain. Hindbrain has pons, cerebellum, and medulla, also called as medulla oblongata. So pons, cerebellum, and medulla. So the right answer is here cerebellum. Okay. Next question. Which part of again the same kind of a question. Which part of a human brain is concerned with the regulation of body temperature? Yes, tell me, be fast. Which part of a human brain is concerned with the regulation of body temperature? Third time we are doing the same kind of a question. Yes, tell me. Which part of a human brain is concerned with the regulation of body temperature? So the right answer is here hypothalamus, what we can see. Hypothalamus. Okay. So option C is a right answer. Fine. Just a minute. Okay. So we solved around 35 questions on this chapter, that is neural control and coordination. Fine. So in the next session, we will solve the other chapter. So it will be a last chapter of KCET PU1 biology. Fine. So tomorrow we will meet and again solve the new chapter. Fine. So let me end up the session here. Have a nice day. Take care. Bye-bye.